For a week, a man drank nothing but fruit juice. This is the story of what happened to his kidneys. The protagonist is William, a 65-year-old father of two and a diabetes patient. He had never experienced kidney problems before, but today, he found himself hospitalized because he could barely produce any urine at all. William was accompanied by his son as they anxiously waited for the doctor. "Why are you wearing those sweatpants, Dad?" his son asked. "Because my regular trousers wouldn't fit anymore," William tried to explain, but he was shivering too much to complete the sentence. Just then, the doctor arrived. He immediately asked William if he drank alcohol or took any pain medication. William replied that the only medications he was taking were for his diabetes and his ulcer. However, the doctor could tell something was seriously wrong with William's kidneys. He knew this the moment he walked into the room. William's breath smelled strongly of ammonia. His swollen legs and his complaint about not being able to urinate prompted the doctor to order immediate blood tests and start William on dialysis. A few hours later, the results confirmed what the doctor had already suspected: William's kidneys had stopped functioning. But how could a man with no previous kidney issues end up on dialysis after drinking a seemingly harmless fruit juice for just a week? This is how William destroyed his kidneys by drinking fruit juice for a week. Welcome. Today, I've got a fascinating story from the emergency room to share with you. It's about a man who lost all kidney function in just a week, and the surprising culprit? Fruit juice. This isn't fiction. Everything I'm about to tell you is based on a case report published on December 28, 2023, in a respected medical journal. The events unfolded almost exactly as I'll describe them. If you have kidney problems or diabetes, your diet can be your strongest medicine and best ally. However, sometimes what you eat can make things worse, or even cause new issues. Usually, this kind of damage happens over years, not just in 7 days. We've all heard stories about people ruining their health with too much junk food and too few fruits and veggies. But typically, that damage takes a lifetime to build up, not a single week. That's what makes today's story so remarkable. Today, we'll dive into how drinking regular fruit juice could be one of the quickest ways to wreck your kidneys. But there's more to this story. This case also shows us that some fad diets should probably stay on the internet. Stay tuned to find out exactly what happened and why this case is so extraordinary. Let's delve deeper into William's case now. Once he started dialysis, things began to stabilize for him. This allowed the doctors to sit down with him and get a thorough medical history. They started firing off questions. "Anything I should know?" the doctor asked. "Your kidneys aren't in great shape. Are you on any meds? Do you drink?" William shook his head. "Nah, I'm pretty consistent with my routine," he replied. "I religiously take my metformin and glyburide to manage my diabetes, and I'm always on top of checking my sugar levels." It was true, William didn't touch alcohol, he didn't smoke, and there was no history of kidney problems in his family. Up until now, his kidneys had been ticking along just fine. But there was more to the story. William had been dealing with a nasty stomach ulcer, or real pain in the gut. Just a couple of days ago, he'd been in another hospital getting treatment for it. The thing was serious enough to make him vomit blood, but he'd seemed stable when he left. The whole ordeal had left him feeling pretty weak. Then, the results of William's blood tests came back. The ER doc scratched their head in confusion. William's creatinine levels were through the roof, 5.43 milligrams per dl. but that was kind of expected since he was now on dialysis. What wasn't expected was the presence of proteinuria, suggesting something was messing with his kidneys. The doc mulled it over. Maybe it's oxalate formations, they thought. But nope, William's oxalate levels were normal. How could a guy's kidneys go from fine to kaput in just a week without any signs of toxicity or kidney stones? A medical mystery in the making, the doc pondered. Okay guys, looks like we are facing a true medical mystery today. This patient was first hospitalized a week ago for a problem that had nothing to do with his kidneys. In fact, his kidneys were perfectly fine back then, which is almost unusual for someone his age and with diabetes. The patient was being treated for an ulcer, and while this treatment was going well, just 1 week after his first hospitalization, his kidneys failed completely. How is this even possible? Well, let's find out. I bet the ER doctor will want to talk to the patient now. William, he asked, is there anything out of the ordinary they gave you at the other hospital? Well, there's the diet I'm following, answered William. As it turned out, when William was admitted to the first hospital 1 week ago, the doctors kept him nil per os for 1 day because they needed to perform an endoscopy. Nil per os is a medical term that means nothing by mouth. It's often used in situations where a patient is about to undergo a procedure that requires an empty stomach, such as an endoscopy. The endoscopy revealed the gastric ulcer, which was treated with proton pump inhibitors. However, after the endoscopy, the doctors recommended William follow a semi-solid diet for 48 hours. Make sure you are eating very light, they told him. But William wasn't sure that the very light diet was enough for his situation. So, he decided to dig deeper and found out about an influencer recommending people with gastric ulcers to follow a very strange liquid diet. After some questioning, William finally spilled the beans. For the past week, right after his endoscopy, he decided to follow a juice-only diet. He was convinced that drinking only pomegranate juice, no added sugar, of course, was the cure for his ulcer. No food, just the juice. But as soon as he started this diet, his kidney function began to nosedive. In just a few days, his kidneys went from perfectly fine to needing dialysis. How could this happen so fast? There had to be a medical explanation. People don't just go from healthy kidneys to dialysis in 1 week. Could the pomegranate juice be causing this massive kidney damage? There's only one way to find out, the ER doctor said. A renal biopsy will tell us. So, here's what happened to William's kidneys. When the doctors performed a renal biopsy, they took a small piece of his kidney and looked at it under a microscope. What they found was so surprising that they wrote and published an article about it. Now, let's break down what we're seeing. The structure in the image is a tubule, a tiny part of the nephron, which is the kidney's filtering unit. If too many of these tubules get damaged, the kidneys can stop working. This is exactly what happened to William. Zooming in, you can see something inside the tubule that looks like a diamond or a crystal. These are calcium oxalate crystals. There are 2 of them in this picture, marked by the arrows. Surrounding these crystals, you can see the kidney cells being destroyed. You might be wondering, but didn't you say William didn't have oxalate in his urine? How is this possible? How could a man with no history of kidney stones and no oxalate in his urine suddenly lose all kidney function due to calcium oxalate crystals? To find out, the doctors took a closer look at what William was consuming. William wasn't eating anything that usually contains oxalate. In fact, some sources even suggest that pomegranate juice might help prevent kidney stones. Kidney stones form when there's too much oxalate being filtered through the kidneys, which then bind to calcium and can form stones or tiny crystals, like the ones in William's kidneys. So, where was the oxalate coming from? Normally, foods like vegetables, nuts, and grains are the biggest sources of oxalates. But William wasn't eating any fruits or nuts, he wasn't eating anything at all. He was only drinking pomegranate juice, which doesn't contain oxalate. So, what was going on? There's something in pomegranate juice that could have damaged his kidneys, something that isn't oxalate but can turn into oxalate inside the body. According to the case report, many instances of oxalate nephropathy have been linked to vitamin supplements or citrus juice. In William's case, the source of vitamin C was pomegranate juice. It turns out that the unusual diet William was following caused his kidney damage. The report explains that excess vitamin C in the body is partly converted into oxalate, leading to the serious kidney damage William experienced. So, it looks like William's attempt to cure his ulcer with a juice-only diet backfired, causing his kidneys to fail. Now, an important question remains. Are vitamin C-rich foods dangerous for people with kidney issues? We know that people suffering from chronic kidney disease and those at risk for kidney stones should be careful with vitamin C supplements. Vitamin C supplements are a known cause of kidney stones, but William wasn't taking any supplements. So, is the vitamin C from foods dangerous too? Well, the issue isn't the food itself, it's following dangerous fad diets, like a juice-only diet. While drinking a bit of pomegranate juice may actually help people with kidney stones, drinking too much of it, or only that, can be very dangerous. This is especially true because of the high vitamin C content in the juice. It's usually recommended to avoid taking more than 100 milligrams a day of vitamin C, especially for people with kidney disease or diabetes. Now, let's see if William was able to save his kidneys. But first, there's an important lesson to learn from his serious mistake. Following crazy fad diets always comes with risks. This juice-only diet is not the only diet that presents hidden dangers. If you have conditions like diabetes or kidney disease, following the wrong diet can be very harmful. This is why I always discourage people from following potentially harmful diets such as keto, paleo, or carnivore diets. We have seen how kidney disease sufferers tragically lost their lives because they were following a keto diet. The 27-year-old Indian actress who passed away in 2020 treated her kidney disease with a keto diet. And while she's the most famous case, she's not the only one. Unfortunately, completely removing essential parts of your diet always comes with hidden dangers. Don't take this risk. William's diet was just as crazy as a keto diet. It wasn't the amount of vitamin C in the fruit juice that destroyed his kidneys, it was the lack of any other food in his diet. William was drinking almost 1 liter, or 34 ounces, of juice per day, which is about 450 milligrams of vitamin C daily. This isn't a very high amount. Many people take even 4 times that amount daily without problems and for much longer than a week. The researchers who published the case report believe that William's age and diabetic status were the reasons for his problem. Both conditions are risk factors for calcium oxalate crystal formation. They also pointed out that as his kidney function decreased, the amount of oxalate produced increased, which is something kidney disease patients must keep in mind. Additionally, a diet lacking any calcium, like the one William was following, increases the risk of calcium oxalate formation. This is why I always recommend consulting a doctor and a dietitian before making any significant changes to your diet. Okay, let's see how William did. He was started on dialysis, and since he never had chronic kidney disease, by completely stopping what was causing damage to his kidneys, there was hope for him to regain enough kidney function. William was also educated about his condition and started on Oxalobacter formigenes capsules twice daily. This is interesting for people suffering from kidney stones. Oxalobacter formigenes is a relatively new treatment for kidney stones that's very promising. It's actually a bacterium, a bit like a probiotic. When it colonizes the gastrointestinal tract, it can degrade oxalate even before it reaches the kidneys, reducing the risk of kidney stones in the future. Studies suggest this treatment may reduce the risk of kidney stones by a whopping 70%, which should help William in the future. Was William able to gain back enough kidney function to avoid dialysis? After 2 weeks on dialysis in the hospital, William regained a little kidney function, but when he left, his kidney function was still too low for him to be dialysis-free. However, he was recovering, and I want to believe that eventually, his kidneys recovered to the point that he's now able to control his condition with a proper diet. Who knows, maybe he's watching this right now. I'm glad I talked about oxalate and the risks connected with it because some kidney patients should limit their intake of this substance. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and God bless you all.